Carroll O'Connor truly disliked him more than almost anyone else, and that tension would later ripple through television history in ways most people never expected. Long before fame, controversy, or iconic characters, O'Connor was shaped by struggle. Born John Carroll O'Connor on August 2, 1924, in the Bronx, New York, he grew up in a tough Irish-American household where discipline, education, and tradition weren't optional. They were survival tools. Life during the Great Depression wasn't forgiving, and those early hardships carved deep impressions into O'Connor's worldview. He learned quickly how class divides people, how power shifts rooms, and how frustration can simmer just beneath the surface. Those lessons didn't just stay in his past, they became fuel for every performance he would later deliver. Those hard truths followed him into adulthood and straight into his acting. O'Connor didn't perform characters from a distance, he inhabited them. After attending Wake Forest University, and later the University of Montana, his education was interrupted when he served in the United States Merchant Marine during World War II. That experience exposed him to pressure, discipline, and human behavior stripped of comfort or polish. The war changed him. It sharpened his instincts and gave him a deeper understanding of conflict, authority, and survival. These weren't abstract ideas anymore. They were lived realities that later surfaced in his work with striking authenticity. After the war, O'Connor returned to academics and earned a degree in English, driven by a deep love for language, rhythm, and storytelling. For a time, he believed teaching might be his path, but acting kept pulling him back. The stage offered something the classroom couldn't, a way to confront truth head-on. In the 1950s, O'Connor made a bold move overseas, enrolling at University College Dublin. Living in Ireland immersed him in classical theater and performance traditions that valued depth over flash. He studied, performed, and refined his craft with intensity, learning patience, timing, and emotional restraint. That time abroad hardened him in the best way. He learned how to command a stage, how to listen, and how to let silence speak. When he eventually returned to the United States, he wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing respect. The 1960s were a grind. O'Connor worked relentlessly, taking guest roles on television and supporting parts in films, determined not to disappear into obscurity. He refused shortcuts and endured rejection after rejection, believing his moment would come if he stayed true to the work. Audiences caught flashes of his range in films like Cleopatra, 1963, What Did You Do in the War, Daddy, 1966, and Point Blank, 1967. He could shift from serious drama to sharp humor effortlessly, proving he wasn't trapped in one style or tone. Still, recognition came slowly, and frustration walked beside him every step. Everything changed in the 1970s when O'Connor landed the role that would define his legacy forever. Archie Bunker, the loud, stubborn, working-class man from Queens in All in the Family, 1971 to 1979, wasn't just a character, he was a cultural flashpoint. Archie embodied the fears, prejudices, and frustrations many Americans recognized but rarely admitted. The character confronted issues of race, gender roles, politics, and generational conflict at a time when television usually played it safe. Many actors would have avoided a role that risky, but O'Connor leaned all the way in. He refused to play Archie as a joke or a villain. Instead, he layered the character with vulnerability, stubborn pride, and emotional contradiction, making him impossible to ignore. Viewers didn't always agree with Archie Bunker, but they recognized him. They understood where he came from, even when they rejected what he said. People laughed at him, laughed with him, and argued about him in living rooms across the country. That balance was O'Connor's mastery. He turned discomfort into conversation and comedy into commentary. Archie Bunker became more than a sitcom character. He became a mirror. And O'Connor became one of the most fearless performers television had ever seen. All in the Family shattered television norms, tackling racism, women's rights, the Vietnam War, and economic inequality head-on. O'Connor's performance earned him 4 Primetime Emmy Awards and locked his place among television's elite. He later continued the character in Archie Bunker's Place, 1979 to 1983, stretching Archie's influence even further. But O'Connor refused to be trapped by one role. In the late 1980s, he shocked audiences again by reinventing himself as Chief Bill Gillespie in the Heat of the Night, 1988 to 1995. This character was thoughtful, evolving, and deeply human, a man learning and changing while facing racial tension and crime in a small southern town. Behind the scenes, O'Connor stepped up as a producer and writer, proving his control over storytelling ran far deeper than acting alone. His leadership helped turn the series into a long-running success and cemented his reputation as a serious creative force in the industry. One of the most personal moments of his life came earlier in 1962 while filming Cleopatra in Rome. Surrounded by chaos, massive budgets, and Hollywood legends, O'Connor and his wife, Nancy Fields O'Connor, made a quiet but life-changing decision. They adopted a 6-day-old baby boy and named him Hugh, honoring O'Connor's brother, who had tragically passed away just 1 year earlier. That moment revealed the man behind the intensity, a reminder that behind the sharp opinions and powerful performances was someone shaped by loss, loyalty, and deeply personal choices. The decision to adopt wasn't just an emotional moment for Carroll O'Connor and his wife. It was a bold statement about who they were as people, even while surrounded by non-stop Hollywood chaos. At a time when most actors were chasing the next role or bigger spotlight, O'Connor made it clear that family came first. Bringing Hugh into their home blended joy with remembrance, especially since the name honored a brother O'Connor had lost far too soon, giving the decision deep personal meaning. Even while working on demanding international productions, O'Connor never let fame or pressure drown out his role as a father. He believed stability mattered more than status, and love mattered more than applause. That mindset shaped how he raised Hugh, keeping him grounded in reality instead of fantasy, even though the entertainment world was always nearby. As Hugh grew older, he naturally became familiar with the television environment that surrounded his father. At just 17 years old, he took on a small but meaningful role as a courier on the set of Archie Bunker's Place. It wasn't about privilege or shortcuts, it was about learning how a real set operated from the ground up, not from the spotlight. For O'Connor, already a television icon at that point, this choice carried purpose. He wanted his son to understand responsibility, discipline, and respect for every role on a production, not just the ones in front of the camera. Hugh wasn't handed fame, he was handed expectations. O'Connor believed teaching through experience mattered more than lectures. He showed Hugh the long hours, the pressure, and the unglamorous side of television that most people never see. It wasn't favoritism, it was fatherhood mixed with mentorship, and O'Connor took that role just as seriously as any character he ever played. That same mindset followed years later when O'Connor created the role of Officer Lonnie Jameson on In the Heat of the Night, specifically for Hugh. This wasn't a publicity move or a fast track to fame. It was a father opening a door carefully, standing close enough to guide while still letting his son earn his place. O'Connor understood the industry's pressure better than anyone. He knew rejection, criticism, and public scrutiny could hit hard, especially for someone young. By keeping Hugh close, he believed he could offer protection without control, guidance without force, and opportunity without entitlement. That gesture spoke volumes about O'Connor's values. He wasn't trying to script his son's future, but he wanted Hugh to have room to grow, to find confidence, and to express himself creatively. It was a rare and deeply personal blending of family and career that few in Hollywood ever manage. Then tragedy struck on March 28, 1995, when Hugh passed away after a long and painful struggle with addiction. The loss shattered O'Connor in ways no award, role, or success could ever prepare him for. Losing a child left a silence heavier than any empty stage or closed curtain. Those closest to O'Connor noticed a shift immediately. The sharp wit remained, but behind it lived a grief that never truly faded. Fame offered no shield, and success provided no comfort. This was a loss that rewired his world completely. Instead of retreating from public life, O'Connor turned pain into purpose. He began appearing in public service announcements for the Partnership for a Drug-Free America, speaking openly about addiction and its consequences. His message wasn't preachy or judgmental, it was personal, honest, and deeply human. He spoke as a father, not as a celebrity. He shared the reality of watching someone you love struggle, the fear, the helplessness, and the lasting impact on families. O'Connor wanted people to understand that addiction doesn't care about fame, money, or success. For the rest of his life, O'Connor committed himself to awareness and advocacy. He urged compassion, early support, and real conversations about substance abuse. This chapter of his life revealed a depth that went far beyond acting, turning private heartbreak into a mission to protect others. But while O'Connor could be compassionate and deeply protective, he was also famously blunt. When he disliked someone, he never sugarcoated it. His feelings toward Rob Reiner, who played Michael Meathead Stivic on All in the Family, were anything but subtle. In interviews and private conversations, O'Connor openly admitted his resentment, once saying, "I've never hated anyone as much as I hated Rob Reiner." This wasn't said lightly or jokingly. It was a feeling that followed him throughout the show's run and never softened with time. Unlike typical on-set disagreements, their conflict ran deep. O'Connor felt their differences in attitude, ego, and approach to acting created constant friction. He believed Reiner disrupted the balance of collaboration and respect that the cast depended on to function. O'Connor later explained that part of the tension came from Reiner's confidence, saying Rob always thought he was smarter than everyone else, especially because of the political tone of his character. To O'Connor, that confidence crossed into superiority and he took it personally. For him, it wasn't just about acting choices. It was the attitude, the constant challenge to authority, and the way Reiner questioned creative decisions. O'Connor described him as arrogant and exhausting, insisting the behavior felt intentional rather than accidental. Despite all of this, O'Connor never let resentment ruin the work. He stayed professional, delivered powerful performances, and ensured the tension added realism rather than chaos. Ironically, that off-screen conflict helped fuel some of the most memorable moments audiences still talk about today. To Carroll O'Connor, Rob Reiner wasn't just a co-star who disagreed with him. He was someone who disrupted the balance of the entire set in a way that never truly settled. O'Connor believed Reiner constantly challenged his professionalism and shifted the chemistry between cast and crew, creating a tension that lingered long after the cameras stopped rolling. What frustrated him most wasn't disagreement itself, but the absence of any real personal connection. While other cast members bonded, joked around, and leaned on one another during exhausting production days, O'Connor felt Reiner remained distant and emotionally removed. He later recalled, "There was never a moment when I felt like Rob was my friend." According to O'Connor, Reiner always seemed focused on proving something, competing for attention in ways that felt unnecessary and draining rather than collaborative. That sense of isolation weighed heavily on him over time. O'Connor felt he was constantly defending not only Archie Bunker as a character, but also his own credibility as an actor. The set didn't always feel like a unified team. At times, it felt more like a quiet battlefield where every scene came loaded with extra pressure. He described their interactions as tense and awkward, explaining that the strain intensified during long filming days and heated creative discussions. In O'Connor's view, Reiner's tone and posture magnified even minor disagreements, turning simple conversations into frustrating standoffs that slowed the process instead of improving it. But the conflict wasn't only personal. There was a deeper philosophical divide that neither man ever fully bridged. Archie Bunker was a layered, contradictory figure who required restraint, nuance, and emotional grounding, something O'Connor guarded fiercely. Reiner's approach to Michael Stivic, however, leaned more heavily on satire and ideology, which O'Connor felt flattened their dynamic into a repeated moral confrontation. O'Connor once explained, "It wasn't about acting. It was about him trying to teach me a lesson every day." He bristled at what he perceived as preaching instead of performing, famously adding, "I'm an actor, not a preacher." That clash made every shared scene feel like a negotiation between storytelling and ideology, rather than pure character work. Despite the intensity of these feelings, O'Connor never allowed resentment to sabotage the show. His professionalism remained intact, and he ensured that whatever tension existed off-camera translated into authenticity on screen. Ironically, the friction he felt may have fueled the explosive chemistry audiences couldn't look away from. Still, O'Connor never softened his stance. Even late in life, he maintained that his dislike for Reiner was unmatched. He once said, "I've worked with many people I couldn't stand, but Rob topped them all." For him, this wasn't exaggeration or humor. It was a statement he stood by without hesitation. That contradiction defined much of O'Connor's personality. On screen, audiences saw the gruff, stubborn, yet strangely lovable Archie Bunker. Behind the scenes, they rarely saw the fiercely protective artist who refused to compromise his integrity, even when it made working relationships uncomfortable. This hidden tension shaped much of O'Connor's experience on All in the Family, reminding viewers that legendary television moments often come from real-life friction, just as intense as the stories being told. The laughs were real, but so were the clashes. Carroll O'Connor passed away on June 21, 2001, at the age of 76 in Culver City, California. His death was caused by a heart attack following long-term complications related to diabetes, a condition he had quietly battled for years. His passing marked the end of a defining era in American television. Diabetes had taken a gradual toll on his health, weakening his body over time and ultimately contributing to the fatal cardiac event. Though he remained active and sharp-witted in his later years, those close to him understood the ongoing struggle happening behind the scenes. O'Connor's portrayal of Archie Bunker reshaped sitcoms forever, blending humor with uncomfortable truths about class, politics, and cultural change. Few television characters have ever sparked as much debate or reflected society's divisions so sharply and honestly. After his passing, tributes poured in from across the entertainment industry. Fellow actors, writers, and producers acknowledged not just his talent, but his courage in taking on a role that challenged audiences instead of comforting them. Archie Bunker wasn't easy, and neither was O'Connor's commitment to truth. He was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery, a final resting place shared by many Hollywood legends. The location reflected both his stature in the industry and the respect he earned over decades of unforgettable work. In a deeply personal tribute, the name of his son Hugh was also placed on his gravestone. That decision symbolized the profound bond between father and son and ensured Hugh remained forever connected to O'Connor's legacy. The monument stands not only as a marker of a legendary career, but as a reminder of devotion, loss, and love. Carroll O'Connor's life was shaped by passion, conflict, and honesty, both on screen and off, leaving behind a legacy that continues to spark conversation today.